Yo, what is up guys, it's your boy Hoopz here back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about why the Houston Rockets can be serious contenders for a play-in tournament spot. They're coming off of a bad season while having the second overall pick in the recent NBA draft, and let alone that player drafted with the pick can possibly be the #1 scoring option in his upcoming rookie year. The Rockets also have a lot of young players with some good veteran players as well, and an overall underrated roster, and we're going to be talking about everything they have to offer. But before you do anything, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and comment what you have to talk about next. But anyways, let's get straight into the video. Before we do anything, I want to take time to talk about John Wall, who's most likely going to be traded soon after the reports of the Rockets and Wall having discussed to part ways, and the Rockets will most likely trade him. The problem is that who are they going to get when they trade him? He probably has one of the worst contracts currently in the NBA, making around $40 million a year. The only thing the Rockets can get realistically are multiple bad contracts, having a third and maybe even a fourth team a part of a trade, or trade him for a star, which most definitely won't happen. But now that's out of the way, let's move on to the next real player. Let's start off with Kevin Porter Jr., who will probably replace John Wall at the starting point guard position, unless they get a better point guard in a trade. KPJ played out of his mind last season, averaging 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. The Rockets traded for him last season, and looking back at it, it was a steal. The Rockets traded a protected second-round pick for someone who just averaged 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists with them last season. This was a steal of a trade, and I'm sure the Rockets are glad to have him a part of their young core. Next, let's move on to Jalen Green, who was just the second overall pick in the recent NBA draft. This was a great pick by the Rockets, getting their possible star of the future with a player that could get you buckets consistently, like a Zach LaVine or Bradley Beal type of player, but the potential to be even better. He played great in the Summer League too, giving the Rockets even more hope for what he could become, and he could possibly even be the first option for the team next season, so yeah. Next, let's move on to Christian Wood, who was probably one of the more improved players last season. He averaged 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist last year, playing way better than his previous season with the Detroit Pistons. Wood has a good contract too, making around $13 million next season, which is a steal especially compared to some of the other players in the league making more in their contracts. The Rockets could possibly move Wood in a trade just because they're in the direction they're going. He doesn't really fit with the timeline, and if the Rockets feel like they need to rebuild, then Wood could possibly be gone. But if they want to make that play-in push, that most likely won't happen. Next, let's move on to their other big, who they recently got in the recent NBA draft, Alperen Sengun. In the recent NBA draft, they traded 2 lottery-protected firsts, I believe, for the 16th overall pick and drafted Alperen Sengun, who is the recent MVP in the Turkish League. Sengun has played good in the Summer League as well. He wasn't really efficient for a big, but he played his role into all the big man stuff great, getting a lot of rebounds, being a big presence, and overall playing great. And I'm sure the Rockets look forward to what he could bring to the table in the future. Next, we have Josh Christopher, who was drafted by the Rockets with the 24th overall pick. I was pretty surprised by this pick due to the fact that he was projected to be an early second-round pick at best. So with the Rockets drafting him at 24 over some other more well-known players like Cameron Thomas and Sharif Cooper was pretty surprising to me. He played unexpectedly well in the Summer League, having some good plays and some great games, and I'm sure what he brings to the table for the Rockets can help them win and make the play-in tournament if they want that to happen. Next, we have Umar Garuba, who was drafted with the 23rd overall pick by the Rockets in the recent NBA draft. Don't expect Garuba to play out of his mind or anything like that next season, because most people see him as a valuable role player and a low-risk player for your team, providing great defense for the 4 and 5. And I mean, if the Rockets want to make the play-in tournament next season, that could be very valuable, bringing defense for the 4 and 5 position, so that could be great for them. Next, we have Tate, who was more of the surprising players last season, coming out of nowhere and making an all-rookie team at 25 years old. Tate is probably viewed as a great role player to the franchise, doing everything the Rockets coaching staff says and doing it well. The Rockets also have KJ Martin, who didn't do much in the first half last season, but came up big in the second half, coming out of nowhere and entering all-rookie conversations as well. So I mean, that's more depth and that's more players for your future. So even if you don't want to make the play-in tournament and you just want to be in a rebuild mode, those players you could depend on in the future as well. Tate maybe not because he's 25 years old, but I mean, he's probably just a valuable role player in the Rockets' eyes unless he just plays out of his mind out of nowhere. So I mean, that doesn't really matter much. But I mean, if they do want to make the play-in tournament, these players can help them a lot. First of all, it adds more depth for them, and they were just starting last season. So if they still want to start them, they played good when they were starting. So if they still want to start them, that could be good for them too. Next, we have Eric Gordon, who's an interesting player because it seems like the Rockets are trying to trade him and go for a more younger route. But Gordon provides a lot of things to help you win, providing great defense and great scoring, kind of like a way more skilled Danny Green. And if the Rockets want to make the play-in, he could be very useful. So if they don't trade him or don't end up trading him, he could help the team make a play-in push. But if they don't want to make a play-in tournament and they want to rebuild, I don't know what they'll do. Maybe they'll just sit him out like what the Cavs did with Andre Drummond or something like that. But who knows? The Rockets have a very underrated team, having a good starting lineup while having a very good bench. They could definitely make the play-in tournament because the teams that will probably make the play-in tournament or are in the play-in conversations are like the Grizzlies, Pelicans, Mavericks, Blazers, and Timberwolves, and maybe even the Kings. The Rockets could definitely make the play-in over some of these teams like the Wolves and Kings and can make some noise. But tell me what you think about the Rockets down below in the comments, and while you're at it, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.